One of the most popular vehicles for transmitting ideas and thoughts in America is through entertainment. Whether it's through the internet or on television or through some other medium, the fact is that it's easier than ever before for someone to broadcast a certain message to a large group of people. But something that is often overlooked by many is the role that advertisements play in all this. Advertisements, or in the context of this video, commercials, are often mindlessly skipped or clicked through by people, which isn't very surprising. It's a wide consensus among most people that advertisements manipulate us. However, there are many subtle yet identifiable methods that advertisements use to manipulate us that I don't think many people are aware of. Advertisements are, at their very core, designed to subliminally encourage us to buy things. They are meant to reach into our deepest subconscious mind and manipulate us into purchasing items that we otherwise would not have bought. But the greater desires of society at large have changed significantly over the years, and thus the key things that companies seek to get us to associate with their products have also changed. Advertisements are unique in the fact that they are constantly evolving and shifting, because in order for them to be effective, they have to be relevant to the ever-changing trends of society. I recently found a box set of DVDs called 1001 Classic Commercials, and as the name suggests, it has a lot of old commercials in it. And after binge watching a considerable amount of them rather than attempting to salvage the tattered remains of my social life, I've come to a realization. The techniques used in these old commercials aren't very different from the ones that are released today. And through this realization, I've noticed a pattern that a lot of advertisements share. Of course, these don't apply to every single advertisement, as there are definitely numerous styles of commercials that I won't be going over today. And keep in mind that I am no expert in psychology or even advertising techniques for that matter. These are just some of the basic foundational strategies that I've observed being used, and I will be relying on a bit of generalization in order to keep it from becoming overcomplicated. These techniques can be grouped into three categories. Number 1, association, 2, affiliation, and 3, utility. To start off, let's look at the association technique by comparing two soda commercials, one from around the 1960s and one from modern day, starting with the one from the 1960s. This commercial shows a bunch of things that were considered to be very desirable at the time, and further drives home the association between their drink and those things by intermittently splicing in clips of Coke being poured into a glass, and then everyone taking a huge chug of it at the end. The goal of this advertisement in particular is to get you to think that if you buy the drink, you will be one step closer to being like the people you respect. It's a very basic technique, but it's a very effective one. Now let's look at a small segment from a more modern commercial, specifically one from around 2016. As we can see in this commercial, they are implicitly trying to get us to associate good times with their drink. While both of these commercials are very different and have very different styles to them, they both subliminally convince people to buy that product through the method of association. The next category that I refer to as affiliation is quite similar to association in the fact that it relies on people associating positive things with the brand itself. However, it is different in the fact that it utilizes the popularity of individuals such as celebrities and occasionally internet influencers to add credibility to their brand. And while it's pretty transparent to most of us watching the commercials that these celebrities are simply reading off lines of a script, it feels genuine. We as people inadvertently become attached to the personas of celebrities and artists, and therefore we take their words more seriously than most others. It's a technique that dates back all the way to when Andy Griffith was promoting grape nut cereal, and over the years has become more popular as things like obsessive celebrity culture has become more mainstream and ingrained into society. For example, does Cardi B saying, "Oh, really have anything to do with Pepsi? No, it doesn't. And if you really think about it, it really isn't that funny or clever of a selling point or slogan. But it's extremely effective because it's Cardi B saying it. If some random no-name actor was casted, then this commercial would not have nearly the amount of impact that it had. We might underestimate the impact that celebrities and the culture surrounding them has on us, but large corporations certainly don't, and they're using it to its full potential. And finally, we are brought to the final category, utility. This strategy, unlike the others, actually has somewhat to do with the product itself. Essentially, what it boils down to is making a product that would otherwise seem unnecessary or useless, and making it seem as if it's important and necessary. Or, in other words, giving the item utility. It doesn't exactly lie about what the product is, but it uses extremely hyperbolic language to hype up the product as if it is greater than it actually is. This is a strategy best exemplified in things like toy commercials. Does a child really need a hunk of plastic made in a Chinese factory to be entertained? No, not really, but the commercial markets itself as if it's this grand thing that you need to buy, and that it's this item that will lead to adventure and imagination. The same logic can be applied to fast food commercials when they describe their food. It uses buzzwords to describe the burger itself, words like juicy, crunchy, flavorful. They are essentially giving the burger utility by describing it with attributes that people would enjoy eating. And these are only a handful of what I could find. These tactics are used in advertisements every day to convince us to purchase things, and while there is a strong relation to psychology and basic human nature as a whole, there is no denying that there is a consistent pattern that companies use in order to reach our underlying desires. These tactics have been around for years and have become an important factor that reflects cultural shifts and trends. But in the end, they all have the same goal. We as consumers often overlook advertisements and their impact on us, and I think it's a real shame that we do, because it's a tool that's used by some of the most powerful people and corporations in this country, and I think it's good to be aware of their impact that they can have on our psychology. The trick here isn't to try and block out the impact that advertising has on you entirely, because no matter how hard you try, there is no real way to prevent that from occurring. The best way to handle it is to be aware of the ways in which you are being manipulated, and whether you are acting of your own free will or playing right into the hands of a faceless corporation. This has been Slacker TV. See you next time.